welcome to my series, I can definitely make that. Where I see something on the internet, say I can definitely make that, and then we find out if that's bullshit or not. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. I saw this dress when I was scrolling the other day. When I went looking for it, it's sold out. I'm going to be making a few modifications just because I have a certain way I like things to look on my body, and I want to apologize for it. Me and my hubby, we've been together 10 years, and it's our anniversary coming up soon. It's in April, so you'll be seeing this in May, but it happened. And I just thought how beautiful this dress would be for that. And so yeah, let's make it. I'm going to use the Rose Cafe Bustier on top, and I'm going to use a different pattern for a skirt. I'll link all the patterns down, and hopefully it makes sense. If you'd like to recreate it, it might not make sense. I'm so sorry. I'm very excited for this one. Let's get into it.
This skirt pattern called for a cut on the bias, so that's what I did, and I'm really glad I did because it drapes so beautifully. I'd never cut on the bias before, so this was a journey. It was very, very tough to get the fabric to lay right. For this lace overlay, I laid 2 pieces of mesh over top of each other, and then I sewed around the edges to keep them together, and then I sewed the lace piece over top as well. The hardest part about making this bustier pattern is just keeping the cup pieces correct. So for putting in the lace cup, what I did was I just cut the piece of lace out of the top pattern, and I just took that pattern and then I laid it over top of the lace and then moved it so that I could adjust how much of the lace would be sticking up over that top pattern piece. That's why you can see a lot of the lace sticking out when I sew them together, just because I had that whole chunk of lace. You could absolutely just cut off the seam allowance and lay that over top of lace and cut however much you want to be sticking out of the cup. That's absolutely an option. And then you just make sure that the lace is between the 2 cup pieces before you sew them together so that it'll be between them. It's always a good idea to trim up the edges just to make sure that everything lines up, and then I just sewed it together to make sure that they stayed together. I use web interfacing to interface these pieces together for the lining and the main piece. I'd never used this web interfacing before, but I really liked it. It worked out really well. I absolutely love this fabric. I'm so excited. I've got a little bit left that I'm going to make another dress out of, and I just absolutely love it. It's so pretty. In order to finish this top seam and this top piece in the center, I'm just going to lay over some binding, sew it on, and then flip it over to the back. And top stitch it on before I put the cups in. And now we have the cups.
This is turning out so cute. It is absolutely perfect. I got all the boning channels in that I needed to. I got the underwire in as well, and the underwires in. I finished off these seams. I always really struggle with these seams and I never know what to do, so this time I just took the bias a little further and folded them over and sewed them so that they had this pretty finish to them. That's just, oh, so clean. That's what I like to see here. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bias cut, because these I don't cut on the bias, I cut on grain. So I'm going to take the bias cut binding pieces, and I'm just going to do a bias binding all the way up and around here. This is the only piece that I'm a little concerned with because it needs to angle a bit. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to angle it into the lace a little bit to create that little curve, but I'm not sure. I think that's what I'm probably going to end up doing. Well, let's do that and then we'll see what we're sitting with, because next it will be steel boning for the first time ever. So let's hope that the bias binding looks nice, and then we can put the boning in, and then we can move on to putting in the grommets that I've already marked. Well, I've already marked where they need to go, not the actual grommet points themselves. Okay, let's go do the bias binding, and then we'll see We'll see what happens. I didn't have to cut it at all. I just sort of straightened this and sewed it like this. This technique was taught to me in the, I believe it's the Royal Black Couture binding, bias binding tutorial. I love their tutorials. I've just got a few more that I'm going to be using and I'm very excited to. But yeah, she taught me how to do all of these really nice binding edges. So 10 out of 10 recommend. Absolutely recommend. This is where the sleeve's going to go, is it's going to be attached to this piece over here, like this. So first I'm going to put the grommets in, and then we're going to be able to do a wear test. Hopefully it fits. I know grommet holes can be really intimidating if you've never done them before, but I promise that if you get the proper tools, like a good soldering iron to make the holes, or like one of those, I know people use like the Rolly hole punch. I really like the soldering iron. This is the first time I've used it, and it worked really well. And then a press. Absolutely, a garment press is a must. There is such a difference between handheld and this. So if you want to get into like corset and bustiers and anything that's going to use grommets, I'd highly recommend those things. Okay, let's try it on. There it is so far. I really like it. This is where the sleeves are going to go. So it's going to go sort of like this. So this will all be pulled out like this. And then it'll go in the back here like that. And there's the back. Yes, very cute. It is turning out exactly how I want it to. The cups are a little weird, that's my fault. I also need to put boning in. But good start, I say.
Ironing this skirt pattern was really interesting for the hip seams. Definitely a test in patience. All I did to attach these sleeves was just gather the edge and then sew it down that side there so that it was connected. And then just sewed it across the back here like this. And this is what the top looks like. It turned out so good. The hardest part about this was trying to get the skirt waist to match where the bustier waist is. And I'm not sure I got it completely, but it looks so good. Because the skirt was cut on a bias, it actually stretched enough for me to fit it over my head without a zipper, which was very nice. Oh, Fen. He always loves being involved. He's such a sweet boy. He's so curious. He makes such a good supervisor. If nothing else, at least I keep it real on this channel with my coffee please pajamas. Sometimes I look great, sometimes I look like a trash panda. Chronic illness at its finest.